today's webinar. Produced by CALYX software, is going to be on the loan estimate and the closing disclosure, tips for success. Today is February 2nd, 2006, and I just wanted to let you guys know there is an attachment in the handout section of your control panel. If you go ahead and download the handout for your future references, that will be great. However, at the end of the webinar, this information will not be available, on our website. So you'll have to go ahead and grab it real quick. I'm going to go ahead and get started. Can everyone see my screen and hear me okay? Can everyone hear me as well as see my screen? Okay, thank you, Diane. Appreciate it. Thank you there, Kelly. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started here. It's about 2:01 Central Standard Time, and once again, today's class is going to be on the loan estimate and closing disclosure, tips for success. My name is Brian Robinson. I'm a professional services consultant. I have over 20 years experience in the mortgage banking industry, primarily as a mortgage conventional underwriter. However, I have been a processor as well. I've definitely been exposed to the wholesale world, the correspondent world, as well as the retail channels. And of course, I am a U.S. veteran, and I've definitely proudly served my country, and definitely am glad to be assisting you guys with this good information. Okay, so before we get started, we're going to do a little bit of webinar housekeeping. Now, to get the most out of this training, all attendees are going to be muted. If you have Point open on your computer, please do so you can follow along. This PowerPoint is available now, as I mentioned before, in the handout window of your GoToWebinar control panel. Now, a recording of this webinar will be available on our website at a later time. If time permits for questions and answers, we will definitely get to those. I'm pretty sure you guys have some outstanding questions, as you always do. I'd like to go ahead and read the legal disclaimer. The information presented is confidential and proprietary to CALYX software and may not be disclosed without the permission of CALYX. The purpose of this PowerPoint presentation is to provide information rather than advice or opinion. It is accurate to the best of the speaker's knowledge as of the date of the presentation. To the extent that this presentation contains any examples, please note that they are for illustrative purposes only, and any similarity to actual individuals, entities, places, or situations is unintentional and purely coincidental. In addition, any examples are not intended to serve as legal advice. No part of this presentation may be modified or printed or presented without the permission of CALYX. Okay, and now we have that out of the way. Let's go ahead and get started with our training. Okay, today's webinar's format is going to be, of course, a PowerPoint, which I'll provide an overview for you. We're going to look at some highlights, highlighted areas that'll be beneficial to you all. Also, I'm going to open up a Point file, and I'm also going to go into Point Central as far as the business rules aspect and how this is basically a helpful tip for the loan estimate as well as the closing disclosure. As far as resources, there are plenty of resources. We have our knowledge base articles. We also have our Point user guide, And we also have further training assisted by our professional services consultants. Okay, so the webinar's objectives. Okay, so today's webinar is going to show you how to create a smooth process for generating the loan estimate and the closing disclosure. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to implement, or I'm going to show you how to implement templates to minimize the data entry as well as reduce errors. Now, the business rules are to ensure that fields are required for the TRID forms, that those fields are completed. Also, the CALYX, the task, and the print group, those three there, that's going to save you a ton of time as you go through generating these disclosures. Also, I'm going to provide other tips and techniques to ensure your accuracy. Okay, first line of business. Let's go ahead and complete a file. Okay, so a complete file makes generating disclosures very, very easy. So if your file is complete and very thorough, it makes this very simple. Now, the loan estimate, it populates from various forms and points, such as the borrower information screen, the loan application, which is the 1003, your Truth in Lending Reg Z screen, your track agent list, as well as the fees worksheet. The four of those help populate into creating that loan estimate form. In regards to the closing disclosure, that populates from different forms and point as well. That borrower information screen, the loan application screen, which is of course the 1003, our Truth in Lending Reg Z screen, our track agent list screen, as well as our closing cost worksheet. Okay, so the only two differences between what is actually populating from what form, okay, the only difference is your loan estimate, okay, is going to come from that fees worksheet. Those are where those numbers are going to come from. The closing costs worksheet, that's where the numbers are going to come in regards to populating into the closing disclosure. Okay, so now for business rules, you definitely want to implement business rules because one, we don't want commonly missed items on that loan estimate form as well as the closing disclosure. So I just have an example right here, and I'm going to, after the PowerPoint presentation, I'm going to actually go into Point Central so you can see how these rules were triggered, how I actually did it, and how these rules will look once we go back into Point. Okay, so remember the loan number, the borrower's mailing address, real estate agent or settlement agent, as well as the NMLS, servicing statement, as well as the mortgage insurance. And you can basically, with business rules, you can enforce completion of the required fields, so they won't be able to actually save. And I say they, it can be the originator, it can be the processor, or it can be the underwriter, whomever you would like to have the required fields for any commonly missed items. Now the benefits of using business rules. Of course, it reduces input errors, it increases compliance capabilities, it increases the ability to manage your pipeline, as well as streamlining the data entry. Okay, now the templates for a complete file, which I'm going to kind of quickly go over this with the templates as I show you an example. But these templates are used to default pretty much of the most common information that you would put into the loan. And there are three templates. There are the borrower master template, there's your loan program templates, as well as your closing costs scenario templates. Those templates save a ton of time. It definitely eliminates repetitive entry as well as errors. So you want to make sure when you're filling out the templates that you're making sure that you're putting in as best accurate information as possible. And then, of course, at your leisure, you can always update those templates as needed. Okay, and I kind of touched upon this already, but the benefits of using templates, of course, is to reduce the input errors, as well as increase the compliance capabilities, increase the abilities to manage your pipeline, as well as to streamline your data entry. So if you notice, this was the exact same information for the business rules. Business rules, of course, is extremely important. Equally, these templates are very important as well, and it has the same benefits as it does when you're implementing your business rules. So you want to make sure, you just want to make sure that everything is airtight, that you put everything in there that needs to be in there, the fees, the right company, the right broker if that's the scenario, and you just want to make sure that there's no room for error, that no one has to question what you've input in there because it was input in there properly. Okay, the Codex, which I'm pretty sure that most of you should be familiar with, but if not, I will definitely show you how to populate, in this particular example, the closing agent from your Codex, which is located in your utilities menu at the very top of point, and it's the second selection in that drop down. But you can input the your settlement agent, your real estate agent, buyer and seller, and you can input that information in your Codex, and it will stay there forever. Okay, so a lot of people have asked, how do you create a task in Point? I'm going to show you how to do that as well today. You basically can assign a task to yourself. You can assign it to some of your colleagues or others to help keep the process running smoothly when you're trying to get these loans closed. If there's an issue, and we'll just take this example that's in front of us. Emily asked basically Alexis if this particular appraisal has been ordered. Okay, so Alexis would get this message and obviously would respond back yes or no if that's the case, if they've received it or not. But either way, these tasks are very, very, very good. And you can do a lot of good things with this and just send a person a message if you have something quick. Okay, print groups. You guys should also be pretty familiar with this as well. But in the print groups, I'm going to show you how to create a print group. I've actually already created one very similar to this one. As you see here, there's a print group for the loan estimate form. There's a print group for the closing disclosure, your application, consent forms, conventional disclosures, FHA, VA disclosures. This is where you create the print group in Point, and I will show you that here very, very shortly. These are our knowledge base articles pertaining to today's webinar, how to complete that loan estimate, how to add those lender credit in there, and how it's calculated on the loan estimate form, as you see all the way down to creating the print group. And the way that you would actually access the knowledge base is you would go to the help line at the very top of Point and click on help, and then you would go to where it says support online, and then you'll see where it says KB articles, which is knowledge base articles, and you can simply type these numbers in and it will produce a block of instructions for you along with a screenshot of what you're actually doing to make sure that you're following the steps properly. And of course, getting more help, the resources. We have a lot of resources here for you guys, and we definitely do not want you all to feel like you're out there on an island by yourself. Pressing F1 from any screen will tell you about that screen. It'll tell you how to fill out that screen. Also, in that same help menu at the very top of Endpoint, you'll go, once you click on the help button, you'll see where it says Point User Guide. That's embedded in your software. That's a very good tool. You know, if you have a question about something, if you want to know how to do something, it literally walks you through step by step. And also, there's our company's website, CALYXsoftware.com, obviously for support. You have our customer support number, your account managers, as well as the sales. There's their number. And if you would like private training, then there's our professional services group. If you are wanting, you know, either an online or an on-site training, we're definitely here for you. Okay, so first line of business, what I'd like to do, I'd like to go ahead and go into Point Central. And, okay, I'm pretty sure you guys can see my screen. In Point Central, you'd want to go to Rules, okay? And now I've already created the rules, so I'm just going to kind of walk through this kind of lightly to show you. Creating a rule, you would click on Add a Rule. Okay, obviously I need to sign back into Point Central. But you click on Add a Rule, and it brings up, of course, the information on how to add a rule. It tells you right at the top of each selection, it gives like a narrative of what this adding a rule, what that does. Okay, so you can type in whatever type rule that's going to fit your workflow. You can type that in here, and then you would select Add a Rule, which I'm going to go to the rules that I just recently added. I'm going to go back to Rules and go to List Rules because I've already, once again, added that rule. And CALYX gives like 32 generic rules or what have you. However, you still can create your own. I have actually 2 rules in here that I want to show you. The first rule is going to be required fields at open. Okay, and when I select Edit, okay, this information right here, very, very crucial. It lets you know exactly what this business rule is for, why you created it. And it says here, this business rule is designed to require the users to complete the fields when the loan is open. When the user tries to save, Point will confirm that the required fields listed below, these right here, have been completed. If they are not completed, then a message will appear, and basically it will not save. Okay, you'll be unable to save. Okay, right here you have your rule type. Okay, either you can disable the field, you can make it a required field, or you can do a custom message, or you can do your state licensing. Okay, in this particular example, we're going to do the required fields. Okay, and you see it has the loan originator, excuse me, the email address, borrower's first name, loan processor, you know, just prudent information, you know, that we don't want to miss. The base loan amount, the appraised value. Okay, so when we do, I'm going to show you one more rule, but when we actually go into Point, I'm going to show you how these rules actually populate, because it's going to have like a little red square or rectangle. Okay, and this is the rule that I created for this training here, and it just simply says missing items on the loan estimate and the closing disclosure. That's the rule. My description, please complete the following fields for the loan estimate and the closing disclosure that are commonly missed. Of course, I'm going to make this a required field, and these are the fields that we are requiring here: the lender case number, the borrower's mailing address, and basically the borrower's information, your closing agent officer, the agent list, the NMLS information, proposed mortgage insurance. So what we're going to do at this point, and I definitely encourage you guys to ask if you have any questions. I will make sure to make some time for the Q&A because I don't want to be confusing. I want to make sure everybody understands and get these tips and helpful hints here. However, whenever you create a rule in Point, okay, it's in Point Central, after you create the rule, you must scroll to the very bottom and update the rule. Very important to update the rule. So what we're going to do at this time, we're going to go ahead and go into a Point file, okay, and I'm just going to go ahead and try to save it just to see if a message is going to come up. Okay, it looks like because I put everything in there. Okay, so let's back out here. Let's take a few things out so you can kind of see how things are highlighted whenever we create a rule, as we've created. Okay, so these red little lines here basically indicate, of course, hey, you know, we're not going to allow you to save this because you haven't fully completed the information. And this is like a message that will come up. The borrower first name cannot be blank. So it's not going to let me save until I input this information properly. Okay, I'll just take just a second. Okay, and we're good to go. Okay, we'll go ahead and put this information back in here. Okay, so the next line of business is going to be, we're going to go directly and show you how to do the templates. At the very bottom, below the navigation panel is over here to the left, you would want to click on templates. And once you click on your templates, it's going to bring you up to this area here, and we'll go ahead and select the template category. And in this case, we'll go ahead and select the loan program. Okay. Now I'm just going to show you what I have already created. However, you would actually, to create a new one, you would actually have to select new. And when you select new, this screen here is going to pop up. Okay, give me 1 second. And I'll go back here. Okay, this screen here is going to pop up. The first line of business will be to go ahead and name your loan program, and I would stay consistent with how you name your programs because you want to make sure that you are selecting the proper loan program, closing cost scenario, as well as your borrower master template. But we're doing just a regular 30-year fix. You see here, this information here is automatically going to be selected for you. You'd want to make sure to fill in the amount of months. If the programs are FICO driven, you'd want to make sure to put a minimum FICO score here for the borrower as well as the co-borrower. Okay, and we have created a loan program for a 30-year fix. We'll move into the closing cost scenario template. Okay, in creating this template, once again, you want to stay consistent. Okay, so I have a a conventional purchase, which I know is a 30-year. So I'm going to double click on that. This information here, actually let me unselect this information here because we're just going to focus on the lender. This information here, okay, these are the hard fees. These are the fees that you know that is going to not change. So this is the information that you would want to go ahead and kind of preset for your closing cost scenario. And of course, you'll just simply go down the bottom here and fill in this information. Okay, and I'll go into more depth with the fees worksheet here in just a moment. Okay, and so we're going to go ahead and just say no to this one. And we're going to go back out now, and we're going to go to the borrower master template. Okay, and we're going to stay consistent. We'll stay with the conventional purchase. Okay. Okay, this is the borrower master template. The first thing that you'd want to do, you'd want to go through and you'd want to look at the tail, the Truth in Lending, Reg Z. Okay, and all this information can be preset as we're doing. You want to scroll to the very bottom, and this section here where it says insurance, from this section on down is where it needs to be filled in. If in this section here where it talks about the escrow account, if there is not an escrow account, then you would select the one below, and you would need to input if it was declined by the borrower or if it was declined by the if the lender does not actually offer it. Okay, we'll change that back. And then on the servicing aspect, if you're servicing the loan, of course, you would select you intend to service the loan, and if not, you intend to transfer the loan. This liabilities after foreclosure, this information here, I would go to my compliance officer and have them to make sure to see if the liabilities after foreclosure, if your state allows your company to go after the applicant, if in event there is a foreclosure. Okay. And I just wanted to answer a brief question. This is by Juliana. It's a good question, and it's very relevant to what's happening now. The question is, if a loan was created with a loan template, can we go change the loan program later for an individual loan with a change of circumstance? You can definitely change the loan. If you're asking if you can manipulate the template, if you can go back and make adjustments in the actual loan template, yes, that is absolutely true. Let's see here. Let's see, continuing with the borrower master template, and that was an outstanding question, Juliana. Okay, so we would go back up to forms, okay, and then we would simply go to the loan estimate form. Okay, the loan estimate form, this information right here where it has your time and your time zone, this information here is information that I input there, so it's going to be on every loan, just as you see it. If the loan is going to be a purchase, which is what we're working with right now, then you would look for the standard form. If it's going to be a refinance, then you would need to make sure that you select the alternative form. And once again, you would select this information in the loan estimate form. You can preset it in the borrower master template in the loan estimate form. Okay, so we're going to go back up here to the forms, and let's see here. At this point, we can go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and close out of this, so we can go ahead and begin to view how all four of these, how Point Central, how your loan program template, your closing cost scenario template, as well as the borrower master template, how the four of those all come together. Okay, let's say, for instance, that we're going to go ahead here and we're just going to go ahead and generate a new loan. Let's see, and to generate the new loan, of course, you would select new, and it would automatically give you a list of your master templates. Okay, and you would simply select one, whichever is appropriate for your loan, and that's what you would roll with. I already have a loan that's already been generated, and I'm going to go ahead and click on that. That was the loan that I was just in. Okay, and let me put this information back in here again. I had input this information in previously, but I did not save it. So that's a lesson for everyone. Make sure you save your information each time you close out of your file. Okay, and okay, so we're going to go ahead and go to our fees worksheet. And let me also show you guys something. This is just a little shortcut that you guys can, kind of fit to your workflow. If you go to Utilities and you hit the drop down and you go to where it says Customize Shortcut Toolbar and you select it, okay, you can, at this point, you can take any, we'll just do the fees worksheet for an example, and you can literally move it up or down. Okay, any of these documents you can move up or down, whichever fits your workflow. I would suggest that you have everything up toward the top. And when you click OK, notice over here on my large screen that the fees worksheet is going to be in this location just above the loan application, as you see there. But we're in our fees worksheet, and of course it's Super Bowl week, so I wanted to have Super Bowl way mortgage and have some fees in here. We're going to go ahead and input, we'll just do 1% for right now, and for the loan origination fee. Okay, but as you see how everything has flowed into my fees worksheet. Okay, now I previously added these fees here. I did not add these fees when I actually saved the borrower master template or the closing cost scenario, but I did go in here and input these fees for training purposes, so you all will see how this information flows. Okay, and of course it's all the way down the page, as you see. Okay, and keep in mind, the aggregate adjustment is not disclosed on the loan estimate form, only the closing disclosure. Okay, just wanted to show you this real quickly. If you wanted to add the lender's credit, let's say there's a lender's credit, you would just simply go in here and type in lender credit. And this information, you can put a percentage in there. This information is going to automatically populate on the 1003 line L once you select this little box here. Okay, and you're also going to notice this at the very bottom of our fees worksheet. And let me show you that real quickly. Okay, there it is. There, the 1600. Okay, so from here, okay, we want to go back to our loan estimate because I want to make sure that you all understand in filling out that loan estimate exactly what all you need to fill in. You must fill in the application date, so that's a must. Okay, we'll go back here. You must also input the date issue. We'll make the date issue for this coming Friday. And the estimated first payment. Okay. Your loan ID, you can go ahead and input that information. That's just your loan number, which is on page 1 of the 1003. You can go ahead and we're going to go ahead and do a lock expire. We're just going to go ahead and kind of flow through this as though we were completing a real file, and we'll just go ahead and I'll populate it so you guys will be able to see it. If there is a change of circumstance, that information is located at the bottom of your loan estimate form, and you would select it, and of course it has, the change date, the redisclosed date, the reasons, an act of God, war, disaster. I think that pretty much covers everything there, that one. But you have other selections there. If there is something that is not in this drop-down, you're more than welcome to input whatever the change of circumstance is, and then you want to give some details. And then, of course, if there are any fee adjustments, that information would be right here. Okay, so what I'd like to do now is just go ahead and go to File, and then do a Print Preview. And keep in mind, the loan is not locked. Okay, I just put a lock expiration date on there. It's not actually locked. Okay, so as you see here, this loan estimate here, of course, is the purchase. Off to the right here, it's going to have a question: can this amount increase after closing? And it's going to let you know yes or no right in here. The one thing that I did not do, and I definitely apologize, but I want you guys to actually see what I'm doing. So you see where it says property taxes and homeowners insurance? I did not input that information in there, so I need to go back, and I apologize, but I need to go back to my fees worksheet, and I need to make sure that that information is in there under Section 9, and of course it's not. So we will go ahead and input some fees in here. Okay, let's see, 175, and just for this purposes here, we'll go ahead and give them flood insurance. Okay, and I definitely apologize because I wanted to have this complete before I actually showed you guys. However, you can still see exactly how this information is entered. So I guess it's working out for everybody. And we'll just say flood here. Okay, now if you notice to the far right, okay, if I don't select from this escrow section right here, if I don't select that, it's not going to recognize that these are escrow items. So let's go ahead and select them now. We're going to select the hazard insurance, the property taxes, and we're going to do the flood insurance. Okay, so now we'll go back to that loan estimate, which we can locate that here at the very bottom. We'll go back to the loan estimate, and we'll do another print preview, and now it should look a little bit differently. It should say yes, where it says hazard insurance and your homeowner's insurance. And let me zoom in so you all can see. Okay, that information is right in there. And we'll just go to the next page. You'll see all of my fees are in there. They're in there, dress right dress, and have been added up properly. Has my initial escrow payment at closing. It has that information in there for the flood, property taxes, and homeowner's insurance. Okay, this information here, this is my information from the company. This is the lender's name, the NMLS number, the loan officer's name, their NMLS number, their email, and phone number. Also, you want to make sure to select when you're doing your master templates and you go to your loan estimate form, at the very bottom of your loan estimate form, and let me show you since we're on the last page of the loan estimate. On the loan estimate form, at the very bottom, it says confirm receipt. Okay, so you select yes, and once you select yes, your signature line will populate. Okay, and let's see here. Okay, So at this time, I'm going to go back to our fees worksheet. I'm going to go back to our fees worksheet because this information is I'm about to populate or go into the information to generate the closing disclosure. So going to the fees worksheet, notice everything is filled in correctly. I'm going to keep this open, okay? Then I'm going to select the closing cost worksheet. Okay, now on this closing cost worksheet, I have already selected the copy from fees worksheet, but what I'm going to do here is just take out some of this just so you can see when you select that form, we'll take all of this information out and it will automatically populate. Okay, so you see the required fields here. Those are those required fields we discussed earlier. So if you just simply click on copy from fees worksheet, that information is automatically going to flow in there, except for that loan amount, which I should not have taken that out. Let me put that back in there. I should not have taken it out. I apologize for that. And that interest rate. And we'll go back to that loan program. Conventional 30-year fixed. Okay. And put that interest rate back in there again. Okay. So now that my information has now populated over from the fees worksheet, I want to show you how you can check that. If you go up to Window and you select Tile vertically, it's going to pull up the fees worksheet as well as the closing costs worksheet. And you'll have them side by side, so there's like no room for error here because, I mean, all you have to do simply is click on that button. If there are any adjustments that need to be made, go ahead and make the adjustments and then save it. Okay, I'm going to close out of the fees worksheet at this time because we're focusing now on the closing disclosure. Okay, and of course all of the fees populated over as I said before. At the bottom of the page, you'll notice you can access the closing disclosure here. Okay, you can also you can access it from the Forms tab at the top of your point screen. Okay, as well as you still can access it over here to the far left. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and just do it since we're on the closing costs worksheet. We'll access it from the closing disclosure at the bottom. Okay, now in filling out this closing disclosure, okay, you need to make sure when you go to this screen, and there are 5 screens as you can see at the very bottom, okay, you need to make sure to input the date issue, the closing date, as well as the disbursement date. Okay, and it's a very short page actually, but we'll go ahead and go through each one of them so you can see. Okay, and all this information here automatically populate over from the closing cost worksheet. Okay, it lets you know up here that the closing costs worksheet, that there is going to be a change, excuse me, I say closing costs worksheet, that the total closing costs, that it is going to change. The funds from the borrower, that is going to change, as well as any adjustments and other credits. That's also a change. So we'll see that information on the when we actually do a print preview of the closing costs of the closing disclosure. I'm sorry, I can't talk today. These are those loan disclosures that you would have gotten on the Truth in Lending Reg Z. Okay, that's page 4. And of course page 5 has that confirm receipt on there. Okay, so I created a scenario already to where we're going to be paying off a trade. Okay, the way that you would do that for it to populate, okay, this information would need to be entered on page 3, and I apologize if I'm kind of jumping here, but on page 3 of your 1003 under liabilities, we'll go ahead and select the credit, or the company actually, and I'm just going to go ahead and put in a account number, but you must check that this will be paid off for it to be reflected in an addendum on the closing disclosure. So we'll go ahead and save and close this, and we're going to go back to the closing disclosure, and we're going to go to where it says payoffs and payments. Okay, now it's blank right now. We select copy from liabilities, and now that information populates. Okay, so now we're actually ready, and you also have access to the closing cost worksheet here at the very bottom if you need to go back and make whatever changes. So what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and do a print preview. Okay, and you want to make sure to get all of the pages for the closing disclosure. And you can also do the closing disclosure for the seller. Okay, and the payoffs and payments, that's very important. Okay, so as we get into the closing disclosure here, this one's filled out pretty thorough. We have our date issue, we have our disbursement date, we have our settlement agent information, which that information can be entered in once again on the track agent list screen, and I'll definitely go back and show you that. Actually, let me show you that now before we get in further with the closing disclosure. We would go to track menu, agent list, okay, and there we have our settlement agent information, and we have our, that's a selling agent, our closing agent information, and we have our seller information there. I don't know if there are any Panther fans out there, but I figured I'd have a little fun here. This information here, the seller, if there are any additional sellers, okay, you would go to your banker menu, to the closing documents, basic loan information, and right here where it says sellers, you would just simply add a seller. And since we already have Peyton, we'll go ahead and put Eli. He's a good guy. Okay, and I'm just going to leave it just like that. Okay, so we have 4 sellers here. Okay, if there are any additional borrowers, okay, you want to go up to the borrower, co-borrower tab, and of course I've already made a selection, and I went ahead and added Peyton and Eli and all of their prudent information. This is incorrect though. That should not be like that. There we go. Okay. This information is going to print out on the addendum. Okay, so we're going to go back to the closing disclosure. Okay, we're going to do a print preview. And remember, you want to make sure to get all of the pages. Okay, so now we have our closing disclosure open, and we know that we have everything populated. We have the additional sellers populated. We have the additional co-borrowers. We have our settlement agent, which is right in here, New American Title. We have our mortgage insurance certification information there. We have our loan number, the loan types identified. We even have the seller right here, and of course the lender. This also included that $1,600 lender credit that I added on, that 1%. That information is here at the very bottom where it says cost at closing. Okay, and moving on to page 2, as you see, the fees are all dress right dress and are in alphabetical order, as well as everything is added up in its own little section. And there's that lender credit here in section J at the very bottom, being deducted from the closing costs. Okay, as I had mentioned before, this information here will let you know if there are any changes versus the comparison to the loan estimate form. So it's going to let you know. It's going to let those borrowers know when you explain to them, and it's going to mean a great deal to them, because they're going to be like, okay, well, you know, wow, okay, well, my fees have increased, okay, but this person pointed it out to me, and I understand it, you know. Or in a perfect world, you know, hey, well, my fees decreased, you know, so and I fully understand it, you know. So I feel having the borrowers to sign that confirmation that they've received it, very important, you know, simply to let them or keep them involved in the loan. This is page 4 here, and remember, this information here came from our TIL, our Truth in Lending Reg Z. That information flowed over from there. Page 5. Page 5 has a world of information. Of course, it has the loan calculations, which are always important, of the total payments, the finance charge, amount financed, APR, as well as the total interest percentage. That information is going to be up there as well. The contact information, extremely important, because we have our lender. If it's a broker situation, then there will be information right here. But our real estate broker, buyer and seller, their information flows right here. Their information as far as the settlement agent obviously flows right here. Okay, and then of course here's that confirmed receipt here. Moving on to the addendum, as you see here, these are our applicants here. BJ Robinson has the address, and then I created 2 borrowers, Eli and Peyton Manning, and then I have the sellers here, as you see. And that information should populate very smoothly with no issues whatsoever. No issues whatsoever. I want to also show you, before this class ends, how that task works. Okay, so I want to go ahead and select task under the navigation panel. Okay, and I have a few in here already, but we'll just go ahead and, for training purposes, let me slow down here. We'll go to new if we're going to open up a new task, and this one we'll just say, you know, hey, did this loan pay off? Okay, and of course I'm just going to assign it to myself. I'm going to create it and assign it to myself. I'm going to do a reminder for 8 a.m. this morning, simply so that it'll pop up while we're all on the phone together. Okay, and okay, Delbert, I think it's Delbert. Delbert had a question. It says, why are we paying off a loan in the payoff and payments when this is a purchase? It says it's not a loan payoff. It's not the loan payoff a seller concern? Well, the reason, first of all, that was just an example of a credit card, so it wasn't actually a loan. But yes, that would be a concern of the borrower as well as the lender to make sure that the information is input properly in the payments or the payoff and payments section. Okay, back to the task, and I apologize, but some of these questions are very good, and I just want to make sure to answer them right away. Let's see. So we'll go ahead and just put a comment in there, and we'll select the file, and it can be any file. We'll just go ahead and select this one. Okay, and it populates right there. You select save, and approximately 20 seconds, this you'll see, or you'll notice like a reminder, and it should populate here, and it actually did. It's right there, and then of course you can select it, go in there, and actually see what's in there, respond, as well as sending it back to whomever you need to send it to. So this is very, very helpful internally, making sure that the process is flowing extremely smooth. Another thing that I want to show you before we get off is how to create your print groups. Okay, we want to go ahead and create some print groups here. So we'll just go into File, and we'll go to Print Preview. And in these little boxes here, you'll see where it says Print Groups. So you would select Print Groups, and if we're going to create a print group, you would simply at the bottom here, bottom left, you would select Create Group. Okay, and we're going to share this print group. Okay, so we'll just put New Docs, just to name it. Okay, and what you'll do at this point, you'll just go in and you will actually select whatever documentation that is needed, and I'm just going to randomly select some documents here. Let's see, we'll do the closing disclosure, and that way that information would like automatically be there. I'll change the name. Okay, and after you have selected the docs that you're going to have in your print group, you just simply select OK, and it saves, and now my documents are right here under where it says Shared Print Groups. These were my loan estimate. These are my loan estimate documents, and these are my closing documents, which I actually left off a page, but this is for training purposes only. Of course, you guys will make sure to get all pages. So that is how you will do or create your print groups. Let's see here. We have just a few moments here, and I at least want to answer some questions, some more questions here. Let's see here. Okay, here's a question. This question says, how is the application date populated on the loan estimate form? Let me go back to the loan estimate form, and that information populates from right here at the very top of the loan estimate form, and you just simply put the date in there. And when you put the date in there, I'm going to show you in the loan estimate. Okay, and let's see, so we have the date issue. Okay, and that information flows from the actual application date. That flows over from your fees worksheet also. And let me quickly show you in the fees worksheet where that information would be located. So you have your date issue, you have your application date. Okay, we have the date prepared. Okay, and let's see, we have first payment date, estimated closing date. Okay, let me get back to the loan estimate form here. Okay, and this is where the application date would flow from. That was actually a real good question. I'm pretty sure there are a lot of people out there that wanted to know that. Okay, here's a question here. How can you change the loan estimate rate lock checkbox from no to yes? Okay, notice it's saying no right here. If you go up to the track and you go to the rate or registration and rate lock area, and if you scroll to the very bottom, I already have this one. Let's see, there we go. Okay, first-time home buyer. This is where, once this is unselected here, this is where the rate or registration and lock request, this is where that information would go. So if you guys have a lock term or an extension or even a lock type, usually it's best efforts, we can go ahead and do a confirm lock. Okay, and then we'll go back up here to the loan estimate. And if you notice right here, it now says, yes, this has been locked. And let me actually do a print preview so you'll see it on the actual loan estimate form. And let me zoom in for you. But if you see right here at the very top, it says rate lock, yes. And then it has those dates in there, when that rate is going to lock and when the closing cost is going to lock. Expire. Okay. I'd like to thank you all for sitting in on this training. I hope that it's been very informative to you. I am in the process now of going to put back up the screen for you so you can look at the knowledge base articles, and I'll leave it up for about another 5 minutes. But I'd like to thank you all for your time and thank you for your patience, and look forward to training you all on another webinar with CALYX software. And once again, thank you, and you all enjoy your day. I'll leave this up for about 5 minutes, and then I'll scroll to this screen here. So I'll just kind of toggle so you can see the articles, and then I'll come back and move the screen so you guys can still get the rest of the information. But have a great day, and thanks for being with CALYX software. Thank you.